Sometimes I feel like success comes when you really dig deep inside yourself and just accept yourself for who you are, and you decide that that's the person you're going to be, and you lean into it. That often is where success comes from, because people sort of see that there's an inner truth being expressed, or a certain kind of comfort when you've accepted yourself, just being true to who you are. I think it's the key to success.
Have you ever felt like learning English was just too hard? Like you would never be successful? Well, Luke from Luke's English podcast joins me in the studio today to share some tips that can help you to push through the most difficult times of learning English and finally gain fluent, confident English communication. Luke, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for the invitation. It's always nice to be on your show.
So Abhishek says that in 2 months following the tips from our videos, they have gotten the confidence that they needed to finally start speaking. Well, if you hit that subscribe button and the bell down below, then we promise to help you to understand fast speech, to be understood by anyone, and to connect to the world just like Abhishek has.
I hear a lot of English learners saying as well, like, oh, I can't, I'm an adult, I'm too old, I can't learn it, whatever. But really, one of the big excuses for kids, I mean, they've done studies now that adults are better language learners because of the way that we can logically think about things and piece things together. Kids make like a lot of mistakes and everything. It takes them a lot longer, but they have like so much time on their hands as well that, they're just all day like listening to their parents and playing around with it and stuff. And so it's just something that 12 hours a day they're working on, and that most adults can't actually spend that time doing it.
Plus, kids have got no sort of limiting mental factors. Like adults will feel bad if they haven't made progress in a certain amount of time. They feel self-conscious. They're proud. All those sorts of things. Kids don't seem to be weighed down by all that stuff, and so their language learning journey is probably a lot more smooth, and there are fewer obstacles. Whereas adults will put all sorts of obstacles in their way. Like, oh, I'm not good enough at this. I've got an accent, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, it does take time. You got to, it takes time, like in the same way that kids do it. But also, you can speed that up by referring to language learning materials, grammar books and practice activities and teachers and stuff. As long as you don't get stuck in your head and start getting stuck focusing on grammar and self-editing all the time, then it ruins your fluency. Kids don't get stuck analyzing grammar as they learn. We can do it faster than kids because kids take a long time. We can do it faster than kids. We just have to try to prevent ourselves getting discouraged or having our confidence bruised or whatever. So it's like a battle to maintain that motivation and confidence while also doing the right kinds of practice.
So a few years ago, I read a book by Ryan Holiday called The Obstacle is the Way. Now this book talks all about how the most successful people are able to turn the barriers and obstacles that inevitably show up in life into opportunities. For example, did you know that Steve Jobs was actually fired from Apple in its early days? It's crazy. It was a company that he created. Yet he turned this into an opportunity to get the experience that he needed to actually be a great leader and to learn how to build products that could change people's lives. He later rejoined Apple as CEO and made it into one of the most valuable companies in the world.
I remember there was this woman, I can't remember her name, but a surfer that was attacked by a shark and lost a leg and everything. And it's like, you think this person's never going to surf again. And she was actually able to, turn that into her own sort of advantage and became, I think, having that weakness and everything made her a much better surfer because she had to kind of get over it, and learned to make it into something that was, in fact, advantageous.
I watched a documentary about climbing, and it was these two guys who were climbing up El Capitan in Yosemite National Park, and trying to do it in record-breaking time or whatever. And this one guy, he had an accident and he lost his index finger on his right hand. And for a rock climber, I mean, you would normally say that is it, that's game over. You can't climb if you've lost your index finger. It's absolutely crucial. But he actually decided that he would sort of like train his middle finger to do the same job. And, you know, he spent many months training his finger and working on it until he got it strong enough to be able to continue climbing. And as you said, that became like his kind of unique thing, that it turned into a strength, that he worked on it so much. And it meant that he was a better climber than he was before somehow, because of this uniquely shaped hand, that he was able to form different types of grips with his middle finger and so on. So yeah, I think it's another example of what you were saying.
It's really like that strength comes out of adversity. So like when it's easy, really, success never comes out of things being easy. It's always when things are really difficult and you find a way despite things being difficult, right?
Yeah, necessity or something. It's the mother of invention. Yeah, it's true. When you're really forced, it's a bit like when you were a student at university, when I was anyway, that I would get, say, 6 weeks to write an essay and I wouldn't do it at all. I just wouldn't be able to. And then the last 2 days, I'd suddenly go into overdrive and stay up all night and write the thing. So when your back is against the wall sort of thing, you know, it just shows what you can do. Or if you're mountain climbing and you feel completely exhausted, but you keep pushing because you've got no choice, and your body responds, that if you ask your body to do something, that, you know, that it has a tremendous amount of potential that you can get from it if you just ask it. You know, when you're really forced to, that's when you see what you're capable of.
There was like an example we had, Leo, I don't know if you've heard of the Speak Your English podcast. That adversity, it kind of challenged him to work much harder and to reach that goal despite what other people might believe.
I would say that in the beginning, there was a lot of prejudice. I think I remember applying for positions where I would go for an interview and people would really like my resume. But the moment they saw me or the moment they talked to me, they're like, oh, so you're not from Canada. You weren't born here. I said, no, I wasn't born here, but I would try to show them the other skills that I would bring to the table. And of course, in the beginning, I had to prove myself. But to be honest with you, Ethan, and everyone watching this, I think the biggest impediment to becoming the kind of person that I wanted to become, or to reach higher levels in my professional life, I think it was within me. I think to a certain extent, I am my worst critic. And I think for a very long period of time, I had a really hard time accepting the fact that I was different, but I couldn't see that difference as being a differential. I couldn't see that as, hey, you know what? I'm different. That's actually better. Because I'm different, I can use that as leverage to get to where I want to be.
So what problems and barriers are getting in the way of your success learning English? I'd invite you to reflect on how you could turn them into opportunities or even advantages. You can even have a conversation with a friend about this, or comment it down below and discuss it with other real-lifers.
You know the way that Batman is scared of bats, but then he uses his fear and turns it into his own superpower. Like his weakness becomes his strength, that he becomes fear itself, you know, and then he starts speaking like this, which is kind of strange and scary. So like Batman, I decided that rambling would be my superhero power, and I thought actually this is kind of the thing that I do. So I kind of decided that, yeah, okay, I'm going to be the rambling guy. But also I am working on it too. You know, accept yourself for who you are, but you know, it doesn't mean you can't still continue to work on yourself. But you know, it's about balance, finding the right balance between accepting yourself for who you are and trying to just be that, and still trying to make little improvements and adjustments too.
So I think there's just so much energy required too when you're trying to be something that you're not, you know, and really once you accept who you really are, it's just like all this, you're happier, right? Because in general, you're not trying to waste all this energy trying to be this person that you're not, or trying to hide something, or trying to be like other people. So when you do kind of own up to who you are, you accept that, I think not only will you be more successful, but you'll be happier. You won't be so hating of yourself and these things that maybe are imperfect.
Well, if you ever feel lost when natives speak too fast, you are not alone. When I first started learning Catalan, there was a series that I really wanted to watch, but I just could not understand it on my own. So a friend of mine agreed to watch it with me and explain the parts that left me confused. Now, you may not have a friend to help you to do this, so why not let us be that friend? With our Real Life app, you will get an interactive transcript for full interviews with experts and teachers just like Luke. Plus, we explain all of the difficult vocabulary so that you can confidently understand the real English speech. You can practice your speaking too. Just press a button and instantly be connected to a learner like you in another part of the world for a fun and dynamic conversation in English. And it's all free. I bet this sounds like a dream, right? Well, now with the Real Life English app, it's a dream come true. So download it now by searching for Real Life English in the Apple app or Google Play Store. Or just click here or in the description down below.
You also have to switch off your editor, which is a thing that people say. That means that if you're trying to come up with funny ideas, you've got to kind of cancel out that voice that tells you to stop. There's a voice that says, no, you can't say that. No, that's unacceptable. No, you'll look like a fool. You're going to make a fool of yourself. You just switch that part off, and that liberates you to just kind of come up with anything. And similarly, if you're practicing your English, I think you should switch your editor off a bit as well. Sometimes on, if you're trying to analyze, the grammar and correct what you're saying. But if you're trying to work on fluency, then switch off your editor and just sort of let it all flow. Go with the flow. And then the other thing is about nerves, and just if you have nerves in a public speaking situation, and just the ways that you prepare for it, just the way you have to breathe, you have to prepare for the stand up. I've got to get my material ready and get it all prepared and practiced. Similarly, you've got to prepare for a presentation or job interview. But yeah, breathe, try to enjoy it, even if that sounds crazy. Just try and enjoy it, and body posture is important. Holding yourself open, trying not to let yourself go into a defensive body posture, which can encourage those nervous feelings. Control your breathing, open out your body, and try to enjoy it. And I apply those things to stand up, and I think you could probably apply the same things to speaking English, either in a high pressure situation or just generally practicing and communicating.
Anna from English Fluency Journey is a learner who has faced a lot of adversity herself on her journey to gain native-like English. Let's watch a clip of my interview with her.
People who criticize usually don't do anything. They don't know anything about your work, about your experience, about what you've been through. They are just talking. That's their job, to just speak around you. So just don't mind that. If this is someone who you look up to and whose advice you would love to get, then of course you better listen to that person. But if this is someone who you don't even know, who doesn't know you, it's just pointless. It's just pointless to waste your time on those people's opinion because you're just gonna waste your time. Right. So you better do what you feel is best for you, for your family. And if you enjoy learning English, and if you enjoy working on your pronunciation and speaking with an American or British or whatever accent, just go for it. Just do it. You do you.